In the next 5 years, a home barista with no cafe experience is going to win the World Barista Championship.
Suddenly they're deciding, you know what? Price is actually our most important differentiator here, or it's where we want to compete. Quality is the touchstone for us. We are just doubling down on this.
Post-pandemic, we're now looking at 83% of coffees are consumed at home, which is a really large number. Commercial espresso machines are going to start stealing all of their innovation from the home espresso machine market. It's much easier to create that one perfect cup at home, whereas cafes are built for efficiency, making the same thing over and over again, not necessarily the best thing over and over again.
The most rapid growth in specialty coffee consumption is going to be coming from producing countries.
I think the next wave of World Barista Champions will be from origin.
We are going to see a mass exodus of coffee farmers worldwide.
Oh, yeah, Blake. Why would families continue to run their farms if there isn't money being made? All right, my next prediction is... Ooh, magic crystal ball on the table that says coffee time inside of it. What does 2026 hold for the specialty coffee world? Welcome back to another episode. I'm your co-host, Rowan Cook. I make coffee on the internet.
And I'm Ben Bicknell. I judge people at coffee competitions.
You do indeed, and together we are
It's Just Coffee!
The podcast that makes wild and unpredictable predictions about the coffee industry in 2026.
We're casting our mind forward. It is the end of 2025 as this episode goes to air. And yeah, we're going to spend a little bit of time just looking ahead into the future. What might the next 12 months bring us?
We're going to make predictions about the industry, about coffee as a whole globally, about the market, about home brewing. They're going to be wild. We're going to speculate, and we'll see where it takes us. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a quick word from one of our sponsors, Apex Lab. Elevate your coffee experience with Apex Lab mineral concentrates. Apex Lab's precision-engineered formulas, including tonic, jam, and lilac, are designed to enhance the coffee's natural flavors. Not going to change it, it's just going to enhance it. It's going to bring out the vibrant acidity, the rich sweetness, or if you use lilac, it might bring out those delicate floral notes that you've been looking for. Trusted by world-class cafes and even barista champions, Apex Lab helps you unlock your coffee's full potential. Discover more at apexlab.com. Wait, where was that again, Sonam?
The internet.
Oh, okay. Thought he was going to say the website. Thanks.
We put so much effort into our espresso, dosing, distributing, tamping, weighing, but then in so many cases, a cafe will just take whatever milk they happen to have available and throw it in and call it a day.
I know, and milk actually makes up 70% of all coffees ordered. So you could argue that great milk is just as important as great coffee.
Definitely could argue that.
Oh, I couldn't, I did.
Our great sponsors of the podcast, Riverina Fresh, have a milk that is made for coffee specifically, and it's used by some of the best cafes around the country and, in fact, World Barista Champion.
Yeah, this gold range that they actually have here was designed alongside a World Barista Champion to be richer and more indulgent to pair perfectly with coffee.
If you want to check it out, they are doing a sweet deal for Australian-based cafes, and you can get a free trial.
That's exactly right. You can get a free trial straight to your door. Just head to riverinafresh.com.au and see if your cafe is eligible. And why wouldn't you? Serve up the same milk as World Barista Champions. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors at Eco Barista. The reason I sound like this is because they got massages at our stand at Mice, and so I'm getting a massage while recording this message for you. They're the best sponsor of the pod that we could have had. They have the best eco products. This probably sounds really pornographic, but it's not. I'm just getting a massage. They have the best eco-friendly coffee products. They got coffee bags that you can design yourself. They got cups. They got iced coffee cups. They got everything you need. So make sure to support them because they support us. Head to ecobarista.com.au and get 15% off your first purchase when you sign up. Oh, mama, that's good. The first thing that I have to say is, you did it. You made it through 2025. Well done.
Good job. Good job, crew.
Life is hard.
Life is wonderful. We're in coffee. That's a fun thing.
Yeah.
But it was a big year. I'm sure
absolutely
everyone
a big year.
needs a moment to recharge.
Yeah.
Take stock.
And what better way to do it than sit down, relax,
Yeah.
listen to a podcast where we just talk crap about what's going to happen in the coffee industry.
Yeah.
But first of all, to look forward, you need to look back.
Very deep.
I always like looking at your back, Ben.
It's just
I'm talking about you got to look back.
Yep.
And so you joined us earlier this year, but you weren't here when we made a bunch of predictions. We
you
had
did one of these episodes early in the year,
Yeah,
right?
we had Kirk on the pod. I think we did another one where Sonam kind of jumped in and Katie. We had a few little predictions that we threw out. So I
Great.
think we can't look forward now without looking back at our ridiculous predictions from last year
Look.
and seeing what lines up and what doesn't.
Yeah, and you've got to have a little bit of a pass on this, as I hope everyone gives us a pass for our upcoming predictions, is the coffee industry. It's big and it's kind of complex, and there's a lot of stuff that's happening there. So if you didn't get it all 100%, I understand.
All right. Well, I'm going to read it out, tell you the stats we've got, and you kind of give us your
what did you
feedback on
think?
that. So the first one was that predicted wave of cafe and restaurant closures across Melbourne and Sydney.
Okay, so specifically Australia.
Yeah, we were very much more Australian focused back a year ago when we were looking at this, but now more global. But we can look at this and maybe people can write in and let us know if it's what's happening in their market. New business data from Australia suggested that 10.6% of hospitality outlets closed over the last 12 months, which is quite shocking and quite upsetting.
Yeah.
But we kind of predicted that coming. There was just a weird movement that has been happening.
What does that compare to previous year? Do we know?
I don't have that here.
We don't have those stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know that hospitality, especially in Australia, historically has been one where it's a kind of a generally low barrier to entry. People have kind of started up cafes or little food outlets, and hospitality is broad, not just cafes.
Yep.
And so because of that low barrier to entry, sometimes owners aren't very prepared or don't have much experience or maybe much cash.
It's a lot harder to do it now. You have to be spot on when you open now. There's no you can figure it out as you go as long as you have a clear idea at the start. You know what I mean? I think we talked with, what was it? Oh, the Coffee Supreme episode I think we did.
With Andrew Lowe.
With Andrew Lowe. We chatted with him about there are just too many cafes. There are just too many cafes for the amount of people that we have.
Yep.
So that was the problem, and I think we're starting to see the downside of that. Hopefully the positive side of that is the ones that are going strong and continuing on are, producing great stuff, and they're sticking around because they're super high quality and pushing the industry forward.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can say that it was a significantly larger wave of closures than had previously been expected.
Yep.
There was a lot of press over here in Australia about some pretty high profile restaurants closing down, and then also obviously some of the cafes have closed, which is really unfortunate for them. But I think that this has probably happened in 2025 in areas where there's been a convergence of greater specialty coffee saturation. So kind of quite developed or mature markets in specialty coffee, which is like what we had in Melbourne and Sydney. And then also where those cost of operations and cost of living
skyrocketed.
Have really grown. Because I think, in Australia 10 years ago, there wasn't nearly the proliferation of roasters and cafes there are now. And I would say the same in some of those more mature markets. If you're talking Los Angeles and San Francisco and, probably in some other markets, I don't know, in Europe, in Denmark and Berlin and so on, that you kind of didn't have the opportunity for people, and now that pie has been split amongst more and more people. So you could be doing a good job, but then you just don't have a large enough market share to kind of survive.
Oh yeah, when I first started in specialty coffee, I had a rule that was 100% guaranteed. It was either if the cafe had a La Marzocco or if the cafe was pouring latte art, then they were going to be busy.
Yeah.
Where it was if that just was a sign of these guys know what they're doing, and that cafe was pumped. Now every single place has, a high-end machine and is pouring latte art and pretty decent coffee.
Well, I'm going to give you a little rating here. So I think for your first prediction of closures, we don't have the statistics that we probably need to have a more detailed look, although it did say 9.4% closure the previous year.
Yeah, well.
So it was a slightly
And
increase.
the prediction wasn't to be wildly. I'd like to see the forecast.
A wave of cafe closures.
10.6 is still a wave of cafe closures, because my theory would be that this was kind of us, I guess, talking after COVID. And with everything that was changing, it's going to continue downwards rather than upwards.
Okay.
The next one.
Look, hey, I'm going to give you
Oh, I didn't even get it.
3.55 crystal balls out of 5.
Who's the movie reviewer? It was like the old
Margaret Pomerantz?
I don't know, probably, but like, yeah, it's like getting one of those.
Amazing.
All right, next one was our dear friend Kirk. He said, matcha demand will drop off this year. The stats, matcha demand has not dropped off. According to an article published by SBS News, Japan's green tea exports to Australia reached 195,000 kilos between January and August, recording a 131% year-on-year increase across that. Now, matcha is a commonplace within the cafe industry, and it's here to stay. And I will say, in defense of Kirk, I think he was being purposely provocative with that one.
Okay, a little spicy.
As we pushed out there. So, I mean, I can give that one a rating. That's a 1 out of 5 on the rating scale, right?
It's continued to grow. It's amazing how prevalent matcha is, especially in Australian cafes. It's definitely taken growth in lots of different regions around the world as well. But yeah, it's just become like a mainstay. I don't know how much longer that will last. I don't know if I'm turning out a prediction myself here, but it's it's very popular. It's very cost effective. It's very easy for cafes to implement, and consumers seem to really kind of love it. But I feel like it might be overtaken by the next trend somewhere else in the next year. It doesn't have much staying power.
I mean, I look back at like chai because what's the option here? Like, right, chai was such a success because it gave people who didn't drink coffee an excuse to drink something like coffee without it being like a hot chocolate or whatever, right? Like they felt like they were getting something that was like in that world. And I feel like matcha is now in a similar vein, like doing a similar thing. So maybe that can, be replaced as it kind of moves forward. Because, I wonder if I look back like 10 years ago, would I have thought that chai would not be the power? Chai was everything for a while there.
But I think the interesting thing with matcha is, one, it's a dramatic color.
Yeah.
Right. So visually, it's super appealing.
In the world of Instagram and that, it just looks good.
It's just like, there's an obvious difference. The second thing is, like we talked to Samurai Shin about when he came over on the podcast, and we were talking about matcha with him, and he's like, no, that is not
not
matcha.
how we're doing it.
That I think the way that matcha has been adopted by so many cafes is really almost just a coloring.
Yeah.
It's like there's no particularly distinctive flavor in there, and people are adding all of these flavors like strawberry and other stuff. And so, you think about chai, it's like it has one distinctive intense flavor profile.
Yep.
And so it wasn't as flexible. But I think we'll probably find something else. Like, I don't know, I wonder why turmeric lattes didn't take off more in the same zone, because they're distinctive color, but you could try turmeric with strawberry,
I guess because it was such a health benefit thing that it always took off from like you were having it for that reason.
Yeah.
But, there's some other things from Southeast Asia, lots of flavors that are coming out of there that could start to see the boom. We're seeing it a lot of it with matcha, like if you're looking at like ube. And some of those are a little more challenging for the Western palate. Yeah. I'm not sure.
All right. That's one crystal ball out of 5.
Yep. This one, not a huge prediction, but I just said the home cafe boom or the home barista boom will continue to go, that we'll see more people buying coffee at home and growing into that. The numbers are there. Within America, the pre-pandemic numbers were 79% of coffees were consumed at home. Post-pandemic, we're now looking at 83% of coffees are consumed at home, which is a really large number. And then in Australia, the home equipment market has grown by 20% since last year, with that now reaching roughly $540 million in Australia.
It's massive.
So there's Australia and America, two big markets kind of taking on that. Not a wild prediction, but it is this kind of separation of like now the cafe and the home barista scene. And I think they can work together, but there definitely is that separation.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is just pretty solid. I think it's going to continue to grow, especially that number around equipment sales. It means people have got sunk costs in it. They're going to want to make use of it. Cost of living continues. So
which leads me into the next one of those investments. My next prediction was assisted coffee trend will continue to increase, e.g. more tools to help you grind, size recommendations, assisted tamping, assisted brew ratio recommendations. And that has just been clearly seen by every major maker of espresso machines. We've seen Breville release the Oracle Dual Boiler, Oracle Touch, where it grinds for you, it tamps it, you put it in, it steams your milk for you. On the Dual Boiler, it even adjusts the grind size for you automatically. So all you're doing is moving a portafilter across. We've got the Ninja Luxe Cafe with the grind size recommendations and auto steaming. We've got the Espresso Series 1, more of a nerdy one, but still giving you all the recommendations and brew recs and even recommending flow profiles for different, qualities of beans. We're now going to get to a point where you'll buy a bag of beans for a coffee and maybe they've partnered with, Fellow for the Espresso Series 1. And you can be like, I've got this bean. And it's like, here's the flow profile, pressure profile, temperature, whatever, and just make your coffee for you.
Yep. I think I would rate this as a 4 out of 5 on the Crystal Ball Oracle there. I think that's definitely going to continue. It's funny though, isn't it? We kind of have had, a history of completely manual, like lever espresso machines, all the way to a very established market of super automatic machines, grinding, brewing, extracting. And they're just trying to close the gap between those two where you still feel like, no, I'm in control, I'm crafting, but really I'm just moving this thing to here, to there and pressing a button. So it's kind of ensuring better quality at home, which is great. But it's funny how the things that we want to keep holding on to as a manual touch point versus just saying, no, it's just super auto. Let's just accept it.
As long as I can move a portafilter from one place to another, it's manual.
I am a home barista.
Yeah, exactly. And as well, just touching on that, also higher end machines as well. La Marzocco releasing the connected lunar scales that helps you grind by weight and brew by weight and all those things. So it's coming across from high end to low end as well. And we're seeing that more and more. Every spectrum is kind of taking on these sides, or every cost point.
Yeah.
2025 is the year that home baristas will make better coffee than baristas at cafes. That was my big prediction at the end of 2024. And I think it is 100% true. I've even had James Hoffman come out and say, this is the year that home baristas will make better coffee because there's more access to the machines. They can do it exactly how they want. They can experiment more. And even Lance on Coffee Show came out and said, 2025 is the year home baristas will come out. So we're seeing this because you can experiment more with different tools. You can spend more time prepping, working with grind sizes. You can try soup extractions. You can do turbo shots. You can try all these different things to make the coffee exactly how you want. Whereas cafes are built for efficiency, making the same thing over and over again, not necessarily the best thing over and over again.
I know you like making this claim. I'm not 100% sure. Who was it that we talked about? I feel like was it with Dale Harris who mentioned this about the repetition and the value you can only get from repetition again and again of a particular skill, and that there's a challenge here in home coffee can make 1 or 2 coffees really nicely for sure, but there's a refinement of skill that comes from turning out 100 coffees on a docket.
But it's working for consistency, not the best result. You're working to create a solid 7 or an 8 out of 10 when you're doing that. We're now having machinery where, the decent machine, the Maxims de Paris now has pressure, flow profile. You're working with these you can get amazing grinders for home where you're single dosing, and we're getting step down baskets that are changing how it is. It's much easier to create that one perfect cup at home.
That's true.
And as well with assisted stuff that's coming in, there's less variable through all that repetition of whatever you're doing. I mean, if you're going to talk to me about repetition of using a grind by weight grinder and then putting it into a puck press, I don't know what we're talking about.
I will grant to you that the potential for a home barista to dial in an exceptional coffee and take all the time in the world and have great equipment to do that is definitely possible, and that the average cafe out there has increasingly been delivering an average product, right? I still think that if things are on point and a cafe decides that their priority is about excellence in the cup, there is a greater potential for them to turn it out because they are focused on it all day, every day. They have the equipment potential even greater than at home.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
because those machines, Hoffman's point when he was doing the video, which was really interesting.
Come on, what?
He was saying it used to be that a La Marzocco was a sign of you're a specialty cafe and you're good. That machine is designed to pump out as many coffees as possible in as consistent a way as possible, heat stability, all those kind of things. And he's saying that's not it. That's not what you look for in a specialty coffee shop anymore. If you are looking to see which specialty coffee shop is on top of their game, they're actually using home equipment in there. They have the decent espresso machine.
Not.
Yes, they have the
You
decent
do
espresso
not.
machine because they can pull
Who has a
different
decent
styles of
espresso
shots.
machine? Like about
They've got the
4
Weber
cafes.
grinder on there. Yeah, but that's their way of showing that they're doing more experimental stuff. It's not just 20 in, 40 out, you know.
It's not. It's not the way of showing that they're doing experimental stuff. Sure, people can have the decent espresso machine, but if you walked in and there was like another domestic espresso machine, there was a DeLonghi or a Breville on the bench.
Yeah, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about like the home market can be different variances of that. And to my point of the Breville or the DeLonghi or whatever it is, if we're talking about people who aren't super coffee nerds, I also think they're making a better coffee because they're making it how they want it. And if you see the forums, it's every single person is, I make a better coffee at home because they're making it how they want, whether that's they're pulling their shot too long or if they're steaming super hot. It's a different
getting
thing.
into stuff that's not necessarily about a better coffee, but just that they're having a good coffee experience and they feel fulfilled because they're crafting it themselves, they're getting it how they want, and also they don't want to blame themselves for making a bad cup of coffee.
We'll go back to the head of fellow product development. Was it Nick? You know, he said, this is, Tazuli. He said it. He agreed.
Look,
all right, let's move on. We're
Okay.
taking too long. We'll move on to the next one. I think
So
we can.
he wants to move on
Who's the
now.
decider on that one, Liam? Was that I won that? Yeah, I think so.
We could keep talking about it.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Exactly.
Sonam had a couple predictions in there, but I just pulled out like the biggest two ones that I really liked.
Sure.
He said baked goods are just going to keep getting fresher. He's like, that's where the push is. And it's true. We're seeing it, a boom of, patisseries and bakeries. There's now this whole like connection of like, I feel like that's where people feel like maybe there's more value for it. Like if you can, we've got a Man patisserie across the road. The coffee offering and the baked offering is becoming one and the same. Because let's be honest, back in the day when we were young, it's like the day-old croissants or Portuguese tarts that get reheated, no good. It's got to be fresh that morning. That's the expectation. The other one that I liked, more canned drinks, the boom of canned drinks, and not just, and he even said this in his prediction, as canning machines become more affordable, expect more batch drinks and mixed brews canned on premises. That is huge. We have seen that everywhere. The boom of like the little clear plastic ones where people are pre-batching and canning it off. We even saw yesterday there's a hot pot restaurant that are pre-canning their like little hot pots. And you like, it's this giant like tin of tuna where you like pull it back like, no, like the lid, the pull-up lid, like the little canned one. It's like that locked onto it. So Sonam, a wealth of knowledge and always very ahead of the curve. And I said, my last one, concentrated espresso, pre-brewed espresso will boom, not only in supermarkets, but we're talking about specialty cafes that'll be serving it up. So I said concentrated espresso, but I did say pre-brewed. So Chris Mabry, we saw kind of jumping onto this trend, and I don't think it's boomed. I think concentrate has started to boom. We've seen some of the bigger names like Nescafe and whatever do their pre-brewed ones, which is mainly about cost effectiveness, right? You can make a nice latte at home with this, chuck in a shot of it and you're good to go. Maybe I was a bit too ahead of myself. Maybe it's the next 3 years. 9 bar, is it 9 bar espresso over in the States? I need to taste it, but we can't get it over here. They have a pre-brewed bottle espresso that you can buy in the supermarket that lasts. They've got like crazy shelf life on it. And they're stating that it's like just as good as when it's brewed fresh, if not better. Cool. So we need to taste it. They've got whole patented I always say patented machine that they've got. So, it'd be interesting to dive into that.
Look, I think interesting, as you said, probably not a complete boom. So I'm going to give you one crystal ball out of 5 for that
fair.
one.
He's bitter, much like a badly extracted espresso. He's bitter after the home.
Sprinkle twinkle in your eye.
Yeah.
Let's turn our vision forward to our predictions for 2026. What's coming ahead in the world of coffee?
And should we just boxing match this back and forth, one each, and just kind of go at it?
Let's do it. So, Rowan, kick us off. What is your first prediction?
Commercial espresso machines are going to start stealing all of their innovation from the home espresso machine market. So there's been a flip in the power dynamic. It used to be commercial first, but now all the innovation is coming in home. And commercial wants to catch up, and they're going to start stealing all of the innovations that have been coming across, whether it be your brew by weight, whether it be distribution and how we're doing puck prep, or maybe it's even going to be about the pressure and flow profiling to make sure that we're treating each bean the way it should be treated.
Okay, I agree. I hear there's been some great innovation in Home Machine, but I think what I'm hearing you say is that in 2026, cafe baristas are going to be making better coffee than those at home because they've been stealing all the equipment.
No, I'm saying that once again, the cafe baristas are going to be trying to catch up, much like the commercial industry.
Yeah. Look, you're probably right. There's been some good innovation there. And yeah, it's going to be very exciting to see what commercial machine manufacturers are taking from sometimes what they've got in their own line of domestic machines. Yeah. Very cool.
Do you want to hit us with your first prediction?
All right, my first prediction. The $4 C market is here to stay, okay? All of the pressures and restrictions that brought us to this moment, this coffee pricing moment, are going to be around for at least the next few years. There's going to be some slight variation in that market from the $4 range. We're a little below at the moment, but it won't be anything like the big surges up or down that we've seen in the past 12 months. And look, it's painful now. I get it.
So stabilize, but keep around that mark.
Yeah. I think it's kind of in this kind of $4 bracket. It'll go a little bit up, a little bit down. There'll be still speculation in the market, right? But we won't have that massive going from like $2 to $4 kind of surges. And as I said, I know it's painful now, that pricing, but I think that the businesses that figure out how to rebalance their model to accommodate this new pricing are going to be way better situated for tackling the future. Yeah. Also, as we discussed in a previous episode with Peter Roberts from the Specialty Coffee Transaction Guide, the C market, this commodity market, is talking about a product that isn't even related to specialty coffee. Yeah. It's just like a container and another container, interchangeable. So we need to actually think about, in this pricing landscape, how do we create long-term relationships that are responsible and that are mutually beneficial for everyone in the supply chain when it comes to protecting and showcasing great specialty coffee?
I mean, agree. I'll give you 3.5 out of that, out of 5,
You can't rate me yet.
There's always room for improvement. I'm rating the prediction now.
Wait 12 months.
All right, we'll wait 12 months.
All right, what's your next one?
In 2026, grind by weight is a non-negotiable. I'm talking about any grinder, any of the price points, whether it's cheap or expensive. It's just one of those things that removes variables. It makes it way easier for beginners and people to get into home brewing when they're making it. And also in cafes, grind by weight is going to waste less beans, be easier, more effective. I just think that every grinder needs to come out with it, and the technology is enough that it's going to be affordable to have it in every single grinder.
It's so useful, so valuable for consistency, quality, just efficiency for cafes and for at home. I think, that's going to be great.
I remember back in the day, like even when we first started integrating grinding by weight or weighing out our doses, I was doing the grinding into a cup on the scale, getting a little spoon, dosing out, 0.1, upside down onto the thing. Nightmare. What a waste of time. Like imagine we were making 1,000 something coffees a day and we were doing that. So like insane.
It is funny because, not that I want to admit this, but grind by weight certainly came out on the domestic front before it did for commercial. But yeah, that's going to be pretty cool to see.
Liam, you had a question?
Almost a hot take. I remember doing that as well, making like coffee, but these were like single dose using EK. You'd weigh out your what you're about to grind, but I never heard about like re-weighing it and like whether or not stuff gets
lose some to the angels, we called it. Yeah. We called it losing a gram to the angels. When the retention was also like a lot worse back then, so you were like getting a lot of retention, clumping, and those kind of things. We weren't re-weighing, we just had like a hopper grinder, so it was just grinding it out in that, and we were grinding by time. So you just be like, well, roughly at this grind size. But especially back then, like, I mean, I haven't worked in a cafe in for ages, but the fluctuation of like, even within 10, 15 minutes of the grind changing, like with the heat of the burrs going up, with the heat of the cafe, the humidity, the running time, how many you were making. It was like, it was a crazy thing to try to keep on top of it. And we were like tasting and weighing and doing coffees every like 15 minutes to make sure we were still good.
Yeah. And if you're a busy cafe operator looking at upgrading your grinder to a grind by weight option is a really good investment, just as long as you can kind of get the timing right, because sometimes it does take a little bit longer per dose to grind just because it's getting it a bit more accurate to that point, I guess plus or minus 2 of a gram or something like that.
I'm going to jump in with one more because I've already said this prediction. I already talked about it in the Low Haas episodes. So I'm just saying it again because, hey, I want it on the record here. I think 2026 is the year that we see experimental fermentations and high-end coffees go from only being served black to being served in milk-based coffees. I think some of those more intense, boozy, fermented, ripe, lolly, confectionery flavors work even better in milk sometimes than had black.
Yep. As someone who's drunk quite a few of those on the World Championship stage, I can definitely agree. Some of those milk coffees are exceptional.
Yeah.
And I think anyone having them, whether you're really deep into coffee or pretty new, it's such a delicious experience.
Yep. Oh, and going back to our Christmas episode last week, in the coffee break, we talked about our favorite moments. And we talked about Jack Simpson winning the World Barista Championship title. But one of the moments that was even more special for me, and I forgot to mention it then and I'll say it now, is Jack invited you and I to actually come and be a part of his routine training, to watch the routine, experience it. He served up the coffees he was serving before he went to Milan. We were down here at Axel locally. We went backstage. We went through the entire routine. We saw what he was going to be doing. We offered feedback and feelings about it. And that was such a special moment to be a part of, especially knowing that he went on to win it. And the feedback that I gave him is
I knew it was going there.
is what actually those changes are the things that the judges were saying.
That you had a role to play in the last world champion, finally taking the trophy. I mean,
exactly.
You're welcome, Jack.
You're welcome.
We'll loan him out anytime.
But seriously, it was a very special moment to be a part of that and share that with him. And we got to have that. I'm just thinking about it because his milk-based beverage was just like banging, absolutely like delicious. It was like a dessert, what you were having.
Cool.
Unbelievable. All right. Your next prediction.
In 2026, the specialty cafe market is going to undergo a huge splintering or segmentation.
What do you mean?
Well, so in the past few years, for quite a while, we've had this umbrella term of a specialty cafe, right? And it's kind of generally been the same model, the same kind of quality of coffee, give or take a little bit.
Blend, a single, and a couple of filter coffee options.
But there is a boatload of variables and pressures that are hitting cafe operators, baristas, and consumers, and they're all going to start shifting and choosing different segments of the market to offer a product out and to buy in. Okay, so think about this. We've suddenly got, what was a mainstream specialty roaster before. Suddenly they're deciding, you know what, price is actually the most important differentiator here, or it's where we want to compete. We're going to drop the quality of our coffee, still represented in a fancy little specialty segment, but in the cup, it's a little bit average. That's okay. They're going to find their market. They're going to find consumers who want to be in a nice environment, but aren't really hunting the best flavor profile. It's like a 5 out of 10. It's sitting there. It's okay. It's not great.
We can go maybe a 6 out of 10.
Maybe a 5.5. And then we're going up to the other end of the scale, and there's going to be other niches that open up. We kind of see people saying, you know what, quality is the touchstone for us. We are just doubling down on this, buying really excellent green. We're going to be spending a lot more time on roasting, on brewing, and we're going to up our prices. And that's going to find its own segment. That's going to find its own market. And we're going to have everyone in between. We've got cafes who are only black coffee, like Path here. We've got cafes offering like super detailed service models like Kokun in Tokyo, and all of these different segments.
You've got Chris doing beta coffee with crazy, like showcasing beans from all over, done through really experimental ways. So you're right. It's slowly starting to niche out to get that point of difference, and it will probably continue to splinter. I'd love to see what the new ones are.
Yes.
Oh, that's what we should have had a prediction for what the next format is going to be. Oh, maybe we need to come back and think on that one.
Maybe we'll give you an update later on.
Yeah.
My flow-on prediction, though, about that prediction is that cafes will do a really terrible job at actually showcasing their difference.
Yes. They won't communicate it properly.
They're going to do it in the cup and they'll do it on coffee menus, but by, by and large, it's going to look like all of the other cafes and roasteries out there. So if you're choosing a new segment or you're honing in on a market segment, make sure you shift your identity to really give the consumer a clear signal. This is what we're about. This is what we care about and why it has value. That way you're going to find your people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of reminds me of an old thing you talked about where it's like the communication and the storytelling, and that is the most important part.
Massive.
Knowing when someone's into coffee, when they're not, like how to play it. Like the times where like you've recently walked into a cafe, I'm like, great, what singles do you have on today? They're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, do you want to find out?
Yeah.
Or like, can you like, yeah, I'll go and ask. Or like, oh, the person's not here. And I'm just like, come on, like this is awful. Whereas then what we're drinking today, a coffee.
Yep.
I went in there the other day and I just walked up to the counter. I ignored the retail shelf altogether. And I said, what should I buy?
Yep.
And he just went, bang, I got you this one. We got this washed
Here's the
Canyon.
options.
Yeah, is that the right? Not even the options. He was just like, get the washed Canyon. Really liking this. Great, blah, blah, blah. There's probably a bit of a background because he then went on to say that he loved the pod. So at least you can kind of be like, I know these guys a little bit, and you can kind of like pop in and like do that. But just that he read me, he read the situation and just went to it. I ignored the shelf. I wasn't looking going, oh, can you help me? I said, what should I drink?
Yep.
And he just went, go straight here. This is what it is. This is what it tastes like.
Love it.
My next prediction is the next wave of World Barista Champions are all going to be from coffee growing origins.
Ooh.
So we've had the great ones here, like Jack's won it recently. That was incredible. You know, Anthony Douglas won it. This is great. But after chatting with Carlos, I feel like the shared amount of knowledge that is being shared globally now with the internet means that anyone can learn and share ideas. We've got a growing number of people taking on coffee professional jobs at Origins. We're starting specialty coffee roasteries at Origin. And one of the great things that I love is you're at Origin, you can start doing all of the fermentation, experimentation, and processing right there. And you can do it week to week. When you're living in a country that doesn't produce coffee, you're then going to work with the producer, getting them to try something, ship it over. It takes months. I love this knowledge that you can experiment right there at the farm, and within a couple weeks, you're drinking that coffee.
Yeah. I love this prediction. I think it should definitely happen.
Yep.
Although
Also,
I can neither confirm nor deny because I might be a WBC judge.
Yeah.
But, if it happens, it happens. That'll be great.
But also the stories that are going to be told are just going to be so powerful. There's more of a voice coming out of these places, and the value is just moving back to origin, which is what we want to see. Someone like Carlos spoke so passionately, so eloquently about it. And so, I think the next wave of World Barista Champions will be from Origin.
Well, it's going to be super exciting because in 2026, that's in fact where the World Barista Championship is taking place. It will be hosted in Panama this next year.
Amazing.
So wouldn't it be pretty amazing if someone from Origin kind of won that year? We should definitely be there.
Well, you'll be there.
I'll be
for sure.
there. Do a little judgerizing.
I've never actually been to Origin, so I need to go.
This year, my prediction, I'm going to take Rowan to Origin 2026.
Hit us with your next one, baby cakes.
All right. My next prediction is that the most rapid growth in specialty coffee consumption is going to be coming from producing countries. I feel like we're following on the trend here.
Oh, yep.
And the places with the most innovation will be in Southeast Asia. So in terms of consumption, we've got a huge growth that's happening in countries like Mexico, Colombia, Brazil. Brazil's consumption growth is humongous, and let alone China, which we don't often think of necessarily as a producing region, but it definitely is. Yep. And the growth of specialty coffee consumption there is just cranking right up, as it is in all of these other countries. Super exciting for us as an industry because A, it's going to put pressure on people to really value it. If you want to buy this great export coffee, let's pay a little bit more. And secondly, that feedback loop that you were talking about with competitors, it's the same with the consuming culture. If there's like specialty cafes and roasters right nearby the coffee farms, then that kind of feedback loop is going to provide a really exciting kind of potential for expansion. And the innovation side of things, look, Australia, North America, parts of Europe, like doing great things with coffee, no doubt. And there's some really innovative operators there. But Southeast Asia, like Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, the cafe culture there is just incredible. It's like out of this world. And the dedication and professionalism of some of the coffee people there is just, it's so humbling to see. We were at World of Coffee Jakarta earlier this year. The enthusiasm and knowledge that was just infusing the whole place was incredible. And I think this next year we really need to get a lot more of those cafe operators jumping on the pod. They've got a lot to teach us.
Got a line there with Old Quarter Coffee, Willie
yes.
Hicks. That was their kind of take. Is their kind of whole thing was Southeast Asia, and they called it early too.
Some good
and
stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff happening.
Wait, when you say, do you just mean like the biggest growth we'll see? Not necessarily it'll be the highest consuming coffee places. It's just the growth will be seen from those places.
Yeah, so the highest consumption increase in specialty, I think, will be in producing countries like Brazil. But the highest level of innovation in the coffee culture is going to happen in Southeast Asia. I think they are moving at such a pace and they're unafraid to try different things.
Yep.
And because it's kind of a little bit of a newer market landscape for them, I don't think they're as restrained as markets are like in Australia.
Agreed. Question, why isn't there a skinny oat milk or like a low-fat almond milk? I think 2026, we're going to start seeing the segmentation and the blending of the alternative milk market. So maybe you'll have like higher protein. Maybe you'll have oat milks that are made for like cold drinks specifically so it doesn't split as much. Even going to start seeing different milks blended together. We saw Jack Simpson this year blended dairy milk with a oat milk to make this super creamy, rich milk. So we're going to start seeing that across the alternative milk market, whether it be like, you're not just going to have almond anymore. It might be like a mix of cashew, macadamia, and almond to make this like perfect kind of oat milk. So the great segmentation is going to happen.
I like it. I can't wait to try some of those. Although most cafe baristas are going to kill you with
Absolutely.
that. It's like, let's add our 7th and our 8th alternative milk option. Would you like the high-fat little bit of sprinkle of oat milk, almond milk, please?
Yeah. Well, it'll be the hard thing. I don't think it can necessarily be adopted by every cafe in that way because there's too many options, but you can have it supermarket wise for like people at home, whether it be protein or this, or even chain wise. Like I know that Starbucks has partnered with, I think, Milk Lab to make a specific chilled coconut that is for their ice-based drinks because the coconut goes so well with it. And so that's an example of how you can see a major chain being like, if McDonald's turns to a, Oatly or whatever and is like, hey, we're working with you, but we actually want this milk to go perfectly with our cold beverages here, or we're releasing our new protein range or our probiotic range or whatever it is, we'll start to see that segmentation. I mean, you're seeing McDonald's just go off with like, what did they release? Like their Red Bull, like this new menu that is just going crazy. Like people love all these weird, weird options. And
I was going to say customization. You walk into Woolies and we're able to walk up and get freshly squeezed orange juice. Like you just
you
press the button, you do
and
it.
Shoots it,
And the same thing, like there are some places now that have like massive fresh milk bladders that you go in and put your kind of carton, your glass carton, and you fill it up. What if you were able to dial in and customize your own milk combination where you go 40% oat, 20% this, add fiber, add this, add that for like a premium pay, and it goes in.
Like it. Yeah, I like it.
That'd be incredible for someone who's like lactose intolerant or something like that, or like that can't have certain things. You go in and dial in your own thing.
Yeah, especially even on a sustainability front, getting all of these things. Like, unfortunately, the packaging for oat milks is pretty atrocious. It's like little 1 liter or half liter Tetra packs that just, are not recyclable and just chuck in the bin. Imagine going for a little top up, just get a jug of your favorite oat milk on tap.
You're my favorite oat milk.
Your mix silk.
Jug of you.
Mix silk.
Sorry for Ben's parents listening to the pod. Okay, so Ben, this is just going back to some like deep cuts for the other listeners. I've said some, suggestive things to Ben on the podcast before.
Frequently.
Afterwards, there was one time where he was like, dude, you can't say that to me. My parents listen to the pod. And then I made a lot of jokes. We made up like, was it Shaz and Gaz? I don't know. We had fake names for them and we were calling them out and doing all this. This is the hard part that I have to break it to you, Ben. Your parents are not listening to the pod.
What?
If they haven't said to you once, oh, it's weird how your co-host keeps on bringing us up and talking about us, then there is no way they're listening to you. So this is some heartbreaking stuff. Yeah, they're going to lie to you. They'll say, yes, we're listening to it. My prediction is that your parents are no longer listening to the pod.
My prediction is I'm going to get my parents listening to the pod this next 2026. All right, my next prediction for 2026 is that decaf is the new sober drink. I don't know if that line really makes sense, but think about non-alcoholic beverages in that segment of the market. They've boomed, and we are going to see decaf or low caffeine kind of alternatives follow the same path.
I think that is spot on. And I don't appreciate you saying decaf is the new sober doesn't make sense, because I wrote that line after looking at the questions, and it's saying that sober is the new cool. Everyone's leaning towards that, and decaf is going to be the new version of that in the coffee industry.
It was a bit of a long,
it's genius.
Long bow to string.
I think it's an amazing line, and I really help it. Yeah.
But look, we know that decaf historically has been a little bit poo-pooed upon by baristas in the coffee industry, but there is no reason that it should. And we've seen the rise of it in the past couple of years. So we're going to start seeing, I think, some single origin decafs or competition grade decafs. In fact, I was served one. I think we keep talking about this, but Chris Maidbury up at Beta Coffee served me out this amazing.
I had the same one.
It was a Paradiso, I think, Granja Paradiso. Single origin decaf, big anaerobic ferment.
Jamie Thompson used one in his competition. Like, it was a blend of that, but low decaf in doing that. And also, different levels of decaf, like our friend Pete Licata. I agree with that. I think it's one of those things where when demand rises, people start producing and innovating in the way that needs to happen, right? So it's kind of a chicken or egg situation with which way it goes, but completely agree.
Decaf espresso martinis.
Ooh, which is what you need.
Espresso martinis, but
either. You know. But there's always that thing of, I mean, some people drink it because it kicks them up, but I think it late at night, sugar is going to get me going more than espresso. Espresso is more of like a weird wide, whereas sugar, if it's late at night and I'm having a drink, then it's great. We've got KP, pull it up.
G'day.
Hello.
We're just having an addition to the pod live as we speak. We've got KP pulling up a pew.
You know KP from being on the show before. She's done some of our recap episodes. She works with us here at Golden Brown Pizza Shop Media. So I just thought, let's bring her in for a random prediction that has nothing to do with I don't know what this is even going to be about. It might not even be about coffee.
Ready to fire.
Let's just say, I thought it was a really smart prediction. I told everyone out in the office, and they all said that this was not a good prediction, but let me give it to you. Ready?
You said that they booed you.
Thanks for the reminder. Starting in 2026 into 2030, we're going to see a reduction of screen time. People are going to stop using their phones as much. That's my prediction.
100% disagree. No.
Yeah, you and everyone else back there, they're like, no, we're slaves to the phones. But that's my prediction.
Okay, I like it.
People want less phone activity.
Yeah, I like it. I think that's a good thing. There's the no laptop cafes out there, and they kind of say no Wi-Fi and things like that. Maybe they're going to start going, no looking at your phone while you order and talk with your friend.
The rise of AI, now that the photos are getting so good, people are going to be like, I don't want to see these AI photos. Like, they're going to stop using, unless we have a big revamp of social media, which they will, they'll adapt. But I'm just saying, as it is at the moment, I'm just like, I don't want to see your AI photos and videos. We just want to see real things again.
I agree. I support this prediction.
She's in and she's out, just like that. But my thoughts, now that we're back on mic, I think that is a great prediction. I think the hard one with all of those is always, it probably won't be an overarching full societal thing, but there will be like a movement, and there will be, a niche group kind of pushing against that. I think the AI statement is really spot on that. And especially a younger group, I think it's different to us where we got introduced to technology throughout our life. Whereas, Gen Alpha, Gen Z have just been like brought up on these things. And I think there can be that revolt against the tech and the screen. They even look at like us, like when we were kids, and it was like, go out, ride your bike, as long as you're home before sunset, just go on the street.
Have we just become that age of like, back when I was a kid.
No, I'm saying kids.
Through the snow.
I'm saying that kids are like, that's sick.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not bound to respond to this message on my phone. I'm not bound. I'm just out, and I'm just living, and I'm doing it.
We need. Here's the next cafe prediction of like a cafe that is a Faraday cage.
Oh, there you go.
Walk in, it's lined in lead. No signal allowed.
All right. My next prediction is Joe Jonas is going to be on our podcast.
What?
So the stars are all aligning from one of our very first podcasts that we ever did. The Jonas Brothers were in Australia and we were recording here and he was going to dinner at the restaurant next to our office and he walked past the window just here and he looked in because we're all sitting here with headphones on, the blinds were up and he was like, what is going on in there? And I regret to this day that I said like someone run out and grab him and everyone laughed. And I was like, no, run out and say to him, Joe, come and just say hi on the podcast. Because as if he wouldn't have been like, hey guys, what's up? Like,
he didn't?
No one ran out. It just, he walked past and it was like the moment was gone. He is a huge coffee lover. He just did a campaign with AeroPress showing how he makes his AeroPress on the go. He's always sharing himself at like specialty cafes with like his cortado and the little like sidecar sparkling water. Just yesterday, he liked one of my reels.
Oh yeah.
Of doing
Come on, Joe.
a Catahijo affogato.
Oh.
So it's a mix between a Catahijo with then a scoop of ice cream in a martini glass. Unbelievable.
I think I'm in on that.
And so I reckon this is it. I think we reach out and we get Joe Jonas on the podcast.
Come on down, Joe. Make our 2026 come true.
I don't know if we have enough clout to do this, but tag Joe Jonas in the comments.
Just tag him.
Just let him know that we're here and we want to know about his coffee origin story.
Yeah.
How he became a huge specialty coffee lover.
Yep.
It helps. My 2024 Spotify Wrapped, I was in the 0.001% of listenership of the Jonas Brothers.
You hear that, Joe?
Yeah.
I need to look and see if they're touring and doing anything in Australia.
Yeah.
The
That's
song,
like-
the
needs to
song
be the
Waffle
connection.
House, just I couldn't stop listening to it.
Can I ask, as a company and as a group, how much are we willing to invest? Like if because it can't be remote.
Well,
Are
we'll go
we
to
saying to him, we'll fly to you if you agree to do it?
I think that's what you're saying.
I think that's what I'm saying.
On air.
Yeah.
It's just, I think he really wants his prediction to come through.
Yeah. Also, like our market that we're looking at, the specialty coffee industry, like we don't give a shit about Joe Jonas on the podcast. I do though, and I love Joe, and I want to hear about his love of coffee. Maybe we can get Hoffman because he's got more clout than us. When we have Hoffman on the pod, we can be like, get him to be like, Joe,
Just come on down.
we need a cup of Joe for Joe.
Gonna be
Make it on
themed
that.
up.
All right. Do you have another one for us?
My next prediction for 2026
hit
is that the new wave of coffee processing methodology is going to revolutionize the entire coffee sector.
Elaborate.
We just had Lohas Beans on the podcast. We've been talking about these amazing changes in coffee processing that are popping out like guava and bubblegum and all these intense characters.
100%.
This knowledge over the next few years is going to start trickling afield and starting to maybe not influence in the same way. Like it's not necessarily that we're just going to have this huge worldwide tsunami of kind of high fermented anaerobic coffees, but the knowledge and expertise and precision of it is going to start shifting every aspect of the coffee production world. And we're going to start seeing these kinds of super refined flavors popping out in mainstream coffee. And it's going to change how consumers interact with specialty coffee. It's going to change how we all do it.
I 100% agree, mainly because that was my exact hot take
Whatever.
from last week.
Oh, from last week?
No,
That
with
it's going
not
everyone?
last week, with Lohas.
That's why it's such a good
I
prediction.
said we're going to see it in like Starbucks and McDonald's because it's like adding in the flavor and doing all that.
I had this great idea, Rowan.
5 out of 5. I agree. That's the best prediction I've ever heard.
Oh no.
But it's a good prediction.
Thank
and we
you.
can, let's make reels of both of them and just release them and
yeah.
see which one gets the most.
Word for word. Okay, let's turn up the volume though. We've had some good predictions going out there, okay? We've had some good stuff. Let's turn up the volume and go, do you have an extreme prediction?
I do. Can I say one more that we haven't listed? I'm just going to say in there. Over the last year, we've seen huge innovation in home espresso machines. But this year is going to be the year that we see crazy amounts of innovation in grinders, both at home and commercially. I'm talking about humidity sensors. I'm talking about temperature sensors. I'm talking about exact micron movements. I'm talking all the other stuff that we've looked at, grind by weight getting better, grind by sync getting better. There is going to be so much innovation in the home grinder market.
Can't wait to see what that comes out with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one for next year to look back at and be like, well, nothing really happened.
Yeah. We're going to have like a tally list going all year.
Extra hot take with 2 sugars.
Prediction version.
Prediction. This is our hot prediction that's, maybe going a little left of field, but I think that this is going to be great. Mine leads off from my big prediction from last year of the home baristas being better than cafe baristas or better than cafes. In the next 5 years, a home barista with no cafe experience is going to win the World Barista Championship. There's going to be more experimentation, more tools, more knowledge. And I don't think that you're going to have any cafe experience to get onto that stage and actually take home the title.
I support this.
Oh, what?
I mean, I can't technically support it because I'm a World Barista Championship judge, so I wouldn't know if they're a home barista or not. But I think that, yes, it is suited to those ultra premium home enthusiast coffee geeks because it's not really about kind of the skills that would differentiate them from a cafe barista. It's about, like you said, those singular, exceptional cups of coffee. I'm excited to see what that could look like.
And we lived in a world where every kind of big name home brewer probably came from a cafe background, but there's been enough years of this shared knowledge online that we're now getting incredible baristas that have purely only ever done it at home.
I think that's going to be super interesting to see how that goes, especially with people coming in from other expertise or career paths, like a home barista, what do they do in their day job?
Some of the scientists, there have been scientists that have come and gone into brewing that have won AeroPress championships and stuff like that.
I don't know how extreme that prediction is, but I think it's great. I think I'm excited to see where that is. All right, I have an extreme spicy hot take prediction as well.
Hit me.
It's a little bit of a downer now after you're upbeat like someone's going to win a competition. So my extreme prediction for the next 5 years is that we are going to see a mass exodus of coffee farmers worldwide.
Yeah, Blake. But I mean, also, is that crazy? I think it's right. I think we will.
Unfortunately, it's not extreme.
Why would families continue to run their farms if there isn't money being made?
Just the reality test of it. And, the average age of a coffee farmer worldwide is 50 to 60 years old. That's the average age.
Yeah.
So sure, you've got some 35, 40-year-olds, but you've also got some 70, 75-year-olds in the field, coffee farming. And then you've got this crazy market that just goes all over the place, massive unpredictability, all of the climate change pressures.
Yep.
It's like younger generations are going, why the heck would I do this? It's so much work. I'm just going to go into the city and get a city job or even just grow a more predictable crop.
Yep. And we saw Carlos from Colombia saying his parents were like, we're putting you through school. We're sending you, whatever you do not get, their parents were saying, don't get into the coffee growing industry.
Yeah. And look, I think that because of the market, there are some factors and sectors who are going to go, okay, there's business to be done here. There's money to be made.
There's always exceptions,
So they're going to plant more coffee, right? We're going to have more, but I think it'll be an amalgamation. It's going to be a huge
There
upset.
are established families that already have infrastructures in place that are working, but as a general whole, it's challenging.
As a general whole, it's a whole.
Yeah, as a whole,
to
it's
dig out
whole.
of.
Yeah.
And so I think, look, this is a prediction I'm making that I don't want to come true. I'm kind of saying it is we've got a limited amount of time, but we need to be, as an industry, thinking about how do we make sure that not only can people grow coffee, like climate resilience and everything else, but why the heck would they want to?
Yeah.
Let's make this an appealing kind of job prospect, an appealing business. And so engage with people, engage with younger generations for sure.
And if you're worried about the price now, imagine that price if we lose 50% of coffee farms around the world and the demand is just shooting through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully that does not come true.
And finally, our big boy, Sexy
Liam
Pants
over
Liam,
here.
the big beef machine.
Producer Liam.
He's been training hard. Look at those pythons. My hot take is that you are a hot take.
Hit us.
I have a prediction. My prediction for 2026 is that specialty coffee is going Costco size.
What?
And what I mean by that is the specialty coffee world has taken over these tiny little cans, Boss Coffees, all these little tiny pieces. We've got Hoffman with the pre-batched little take home, you get a coffee thing. I'm talking, we're going to get roasters that prepare gallons of specialty coffee, iced coffee, or like whatever you want. So when you open your fridge, you're going to have your milk, and then you're going to have your favorite roasters right beside
the big
it.
2 liter, 4 liter, just juggo of like iced coffee or pre-batch.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think like we've seen it with like juice. You get like bougie juices and juice like kind of combinations with like, we're going to see that with specialty coffee.
Hey.
Interesting. I kind of like the
And
idea.
If I go even further, I think that might actually get into the markets where there's that odd overlap where people expect a really high grade coffee in odd places, like a hairdresser and all these things that have like the automated machines. But that's a really expensive thing to kind of get in the first place. So if you can guarantee a beautiful specialty experience that you can just kind of top up, but there's no making involved.
And think about all the markets and places that you have open to that, high-end hotels who, I mean, obviously they'd do it in smaller format and bottle it differently, but there is this like demand for, even if it's backstage, just doing iced coffees at the buffet down in the night. I don't know why. I feel like America could be a great kind of thing for this. To me, it leans more iced beverage. America has a bigger iced beverage market. There's a world where it's like, hey, I want it with milk, but I want it to be higher quality. There's someone who wants the convenience and the quality side of it.
I think there's also a lot of like at-home consumption, as we know, in North America. Yeah, because I was thinking about Southeast Asia. If you go somewhere like Thailand, you can get a lot of great specialty coffee there. But I don't think, and I'm not as familiar with the market, but I don't think that there's a lot of like take home, have a big stock of something, tap into it. It's more you go out, you have the thing, the food, the drink, on the go or right there, and then it's done. Yeah, that's a cool prediction, Liam. I think we need to pencil that one down, lock it in. 12-month review will give you a crystal ball rating.
I wonder if it needs to be mixed with milk. I wonder if like, sorry to get practical actually about it,
go.
but like whether the oxidization once you've opened that bottle like becomes a problem. I mean, I need to speak to Batch Bar 9 about like what their thing is, because they obviously sell not giant, but bottles of the pre-batch kind of espresso that you can make hot or cold beverages with. It'd be kind of interesting to know like what that oxidization time is. It wouldn't be as bad obviously if it was just mixed with milk, because it's like, you know, I don't think it would oxidize as much as just straight black coffee.
I like it. Well, that is it for our episode. I think we've kind of basically had an episode of prediction/hot takes in here. Any industry shout outs that you want to give? Any loves that you want to share out there?
What about your industry shout out? Like, give me a second to think.
Well, look, I would like to shine a light on all of the, we kind of said it a little bit in our Christmas episode last week.
And
but
why
I
are we
think
saying it again?
I'm saying it further. I'm extending it out because on reflection, I was like, you know what? Liam deserves a great shout out here.
Yep.
He's been our producer all year, turning out awesome audio, awesome videos, helping us keep on track. We've also had Molly in the background doing a lot of research, helping us with
Shout
scripting.
out Molly.
We've had Sonam. We keep dropping his name, and I know he's on some episodes earlier on in the year, but he's the, well, no, he's not the third wheel. he's the third part of our beautiful triangle here. You know? Yeah, that's it. Sonam, big shout out to you. Thank you so much. And yeah, all of the team who have helped produce this podcast.
And thank you to our beautiful partners who put up with our crap.
Yes.
Who put out with us flying off to Milan, to Dubai, to wherever we go, and somehow still staying with us. Huge shout out to them.
Yes, prediction that my wife will continue to love me and support me in 2026 and allow me to do It's Just Coffee.
And the last one, all the baristas who show up at 6 a.m. to open the coffee, who put in the time to try to make great coffee, who get treated like crap by, you know, a lot of customers who still try to put a smile on their face and make great quality coffee for everyone to enjoy. Baristas, we see you, we love you, you're doing amazing work. Keep on shining in 2026.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you've got any questions, you can drop us an email at helloitsjustcoffeepod.com or drop us a little DM on socials. Yeah, on It's Just Coffee.
It's Just Coffee. I should look at it. Every week I go, I think it's just coffee.podcast.
Yeah.
Is what I believe.
That's the Instagram account. Search that. Drop us a DM or any email if you like. We are planning out all the episodes coming up in 2026. We've already got some great guests lined up. But if there's a particular topic or a problem or a person you'd like us to feature on the podcast.
If you got a question for Hoff Daddy.
Oh, yes.
We've got Hoffman coming up in, I think, 2 weeks.
Coming up, Mr. James Hoffman on the podcast celebrating our 100th. Or maybe it's going to be our 101st
Don't
episode.
tell anybody that, but timing is weird and it might be 101.
Yeah, exactly. Who's counting anyway?
Yeah.
He's going to be on the podcast. Wealth of experience. Drop us some questions questions that you'd like us to ask James.
Yep.
And yeah, we'd love to see you again in the new year. So hit subscribe if you haven't already on the podcast.
Share it with a friend. Share it with 2,
Yep.
3, 4.
We're doing this for you. We want to make sure that we're turning out some great, useful information. So please keep dialing in.
And any feedback, even if we're crap, be like, hey, that thing's crap.
Yeah. And actually, I know, Ron, before the episode, you said that you'd got a message on DM from that person giving you a special request. What was it?
From that person. What person was it again?
It was actually your mum.
Oh, my mum.
Your mum.
She was like, tell Ben that I love you more than his parents love him, and I actually listen to the podcast.
Lies. All lies.
See you later.
Thanks, Ron's mum. Bye, everyone. Happy 2026.
Happy 2026. Kiss, kiss. It's New Year.
Yeah.